Hello everybody, my name is Doug Medhin, and welcome to Lesson 3 of Android Java Fundamentals. And today we're going to modify our random number generator. Excuse me. Now, the first thing we're going to do, if you remember, when we clicked on Generate Random Number, it would give us a ridiculously high or ridiculously low number. So, let's give it some constraints. Excuse me. So the best way to do that is we have to go to widgets, and you want to look for seek bar discrete. You could use a standard seek bar, but I want to use a seek bar discrete because it gives us a little more control. Speaking of control, let's give it some constraints. And then that, and then that, and then that. Now, if we want to give it some more constraints, we could go here, more constraints, excuse me. If we want to have more control over said constraints, we could, set the margin. As you can see, it's going 24 pixels, etc., 24 units, and we could do the same. We don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it just gives you a more personalized touch. But we have to scale this out, but I don't want to scale it out like this. You can if you want to, but I don't want to do that. So you see under layout width where it says wrap constraint, I want to click that little drop down menu, and you want to click on match constraint, and as we can see, it automatically scales itself out to the constraints, and we can do that for basically anything if we wanted to. However, for instance, you could, if you wanted to the layout height, you can match that, but it's not going to. As you can see, there's no difference. So I'm just going to go back down to wrap constraints. Let's scroll down, because what we want to modify is right over here. We have the max, which is 10, which is fine, and we have progress, which is 3. I'm going to put it at 0. Now, we're not done. We need to basically say, okay, we want to generate a random number between these values. So, to do that, we have to go into main activity, and we have to, excuse me, I forgot to do something. I want to give this an ID. I don't want to leave it at its default ID, which is, I believe, seek bar, or seek bar 3 in my case. I don't want to call it that. I want to call it rand range. And it's basically saying I'm going to find every instance of code and basically give it that ID, which is fine. So if we go back into main activity, we need to actually import the seek bar, because we're going to have the find view by ID. Now, technically speaking, we don't necessarily need to. We could just we can hit enter when we're actually trying to find the view by ID, and it'll automatically import for us. But I'm not going to do that. So in turn, I'm just going to type in import. I'm going to type in Android dot widget dot seek bar, and I misspelled Android. There we go. Why is it grayed out, Doug? Again, if we're not actually if we're not having anything look for it, it's going to be grayed out because it's just not going to be used. That's where that's going to change right now. I'm going to type in var. I'm going to type in, let's call this, let's call this Ranger. And set it equal to find view, oh man, I can't spell. Okay, find view by ID, open and close brackets, angle brackets. And it's going to be looking for a seek bar, and then in parentheses r dot id dot rand range. Now in here we have to modify the next int. So I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to instead of rand, we're going to type in rand dot next int, but it's best to use the bound int. Technically speaking, we could still leave it as is, but there's a reason why I wanted to show you this. because here's where we can actually input our range. In this case, it's going to be ranger. Why? Why, Doug? Okay, so in our activity, right, we see that 0 is the minimum, max is 10, as we said it here. So by default, the seek bar actually has an integer stored in it, an integer being a whole number. So we basically need to get to the progress of that seek bar, because that progress holds that integer. How do we do that? You might be asking. Well, okay, so we have to type in ranger, because that's the variable we set our to find the ID. That's the variable we set our seek bar to. So we have to say ranger dot progress, and that's all, because that progress is our integer. So if we run this, doop-a-doop-boop-boo. There we go. It's restart. There we go. So I'm going to do an example. I'm going to click on this number, right? I'm going to click on this. You don't have to. I will. Why did it close, Doug? Okay, so here's the thing. The random range doesn't like it when it's just set to 0. That's why it closed on us. It basically crashed. So if we move this up some, because 0's null. Long story short, it doesn't like the range being just set to 0. It doesn't like that. So if we move this progress bar up, we get our random number. But if we move it to the max, come on, give me the max. There we go. The max value you saw was 9. Why, Doug? Because it goes from 0 to 9. 0 is always going to be first. So how do we fix that? How do we get it to actually post 10? Well, we can literally add 1 to this by literally just going space plus 1. Excuse me. So if we run this again, it's going to load. So if we go all the way up to the max, I don't have to click on it a bunch of times because hopefully it'll show up as 10. There we go. I saw 10, so I'm happy. Doug, are we restricted to just 10? No, we're not. Because if I go here, I can set the max to anything. I can set it to... I'll set it to 20. I'll hit enter. Remember to hit enter, because if you don't, then it won't auto-update. It'll assume that the default value at that point was 10. So I run it again. Our seek bar will change. As you can see, our seek bar... As you can see, our seek bar is now a lot longer. So if I were to move this up to the max, look at that. And we have our maximum value, which is 20. Okay, so let's start personalizing this. Let's give this a color. To do that, we have to actually, we could use no. Yeah, actually, let's go to background. Make this red. Yeah. Set this one to red. Doug, what's the difference? Well, basically, this one lets us see the red in the developer view, and this one will let us see the red in the finalized view. So let's run this again. Come on. Restart. There we go. And a nice red background. So if we scroll down a little, the text style, I'm fine with bold. And if you wanted to play around with this some more, go to all attributes, and you can just play around from there. Like literally, I mean, you have a ton of what's the word I'm looking for? parameters to play around with. So let's go to text color. Let's make this blue. Or you can go into resources and then just do that. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with. I'm done playing around with this. We have our text color, so I'm happy with that. But let's go to our text, our rando text. You know what? In code, I'm gonna go to our random text, which is, where are you? Oh yeah. Oh, I already have a text size. I don't know if I showed how to do that though, so I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm just gonna type in Android : text size. And I set it equal to 55 SP. So it's going to be bigger. And if you want, you can go into the designer and you could just play around with the color, etc., etc. I'm not going to do that because that's, no. That said, what are you complaining about? Constraint. I thought I constrained you. Oops. Yeah, you're constrained. It's fine. Now let's add a custom image in here, so we can give it a more personalized touch. How do we do that? Okay, so where are you? No, not layout. It is, there you are. Drawables. You want to right click on it, and you want to go to Open In. You want to go to Open in Explorer. For PC, for Mac, I forgot what it's called in Mac. Regardless, the folder should open up. So what do you have to do? You actually have to copy an image into here. How do you do that? Okay, so you can put it in here or in here. I'm going to put it in here because, as you can see, I already have like an image here. So where do you find an image, Doug? Well, you can find it anywhere. I am just going to go into Pictures. Give me, I wonder if I have any good pictures. Camera roll, nothing. Snake pictures, nothing. Because I really don't want to go into, oh, there we go. Okay, screenshots. I'm good with that. And make sure, do I have any JPEGs? I don't think I have any JPEGs here. I think I can I'm pretty sure I can get away with PNGs, so that's not the end of the world. I will just use, yeah, I'll use this. I'll copy this. Go into here. Then I'll paste it. There's a chance that it won't like images that are too big. We'll find out when we find that out. So let's close this. And it automatically updated. And it doesn't like, oh right, it doesn't like spaces. So I have to fix that. So let's go into Open in Explorer. Let's go here, because it really doesn't like spaces. I'll just get rid of the parentheses 2, hit enter, close, and it'll auto-update. Still doesn't like that because I don't think it likes PNGs. Regardless, I have my JPEG here, and I'm pretty sure it's too big anyway. So, in either case, we're going to drag in Image Viewer. It's going to be asking us what kind of image viewer. Well, we can use, let me see how big screenshot is. I'll click OK. Wow, yeah, that's huge. That is huge. And we can scale it down, but yeah, I'm going to get rid of that. That's too big. Let's put this here. I'll just use the one I originally, this one, because I made this 3D model like way back when. It's a Space Marine battle barge. I'm a huge fan of Warhammer 40,000. Alright. So let's move this. Let's give it some constraints. And if we wanted to make this big, yeah, let's make this a little bit bigger. But there's a problem to this. because it overshadows the random text. We don't want that. We have to move this up to here. So that way the random text isn't overshadowed. So if we run this again, let me see what's going on here. S is not a valid file-based resource character. Underscore. It's complaining about the well, whatever. Let's close this out. And just as easily get rid of that error. I'll just delete it. Save delete. Yeah, that'll be fine. And what about you? What are you complaining about? Constraint 125 ratio based on color. Increasing with 3 or greater. Okay, I'll just fix it. Make sure that's under description. Make sure that's under description. Well, image view doesn't necessarily matter much. Let's see if let's run this again. Okay, so we have our image, we have our number generator, and we have to move this up so that way we don't get any fatal errors. And it's generating a random number. Doug, why can't we see the random number? That's because the text is black and the background to the image is black. So let's just, I'll move this up a little ways, up to there, right about there. Yeah, that should do it. So let's try this again. And let it run. So move this up. There we go. And boom jams. We have a nice little personalized random number generator. Now, next week, we will start focusing on. Next week will be our quiz, so there will be a review for that, and I will post that review as well. So just be on the lookout for like I'm gonna throw a lot of mind. Like critical thinking questions your way as to like, oh, for instance, let me close this out. One of the questions will literally be, let me go to code, scroll up, or actually scroll down. One of the questions will literally be this, something like this pasted. And it's going to ask, hey, how do you change the ID of the text view? It won't. You have to say the right answer is going to be something like, oh, there's no closing angle bracket and a slash. The whole thing will generate an error. It won't work. So be prepared for that. And I will. Don't worry. Like I said, there will be a review for it, and I will put a review for it, and I will make a review video for it in terms of like what to focus on, etc., 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 etc. All right? Well, that said, thank you for tuning in. You have yourselves a good day and a good week. Be sure to upload your assignment via, send me a hyperlink of the assignment, which is, again, just putting more of a personal touch on your app. So be sure to send that assignment to me via email. You can upload it to your hard drive and send me a hyperlink, or just upload it to me directly. That said, you have yourselves a good week, and I will see you next week.